What's the worst case you've seen of someone trying to play the victim when it was all their own fault? I was in a crowded parking lot, driving around looking for a space. There was one car ahead of me. The car ahead of me stopped, so I stopped as well. I'm not sure why she stopped because there were no empty spaces and no one was pulling out, but whatever. Then, before I even had time to react, her reverse lights came on and she came flying backwards towards me. I didn't even have time to honk. She slammed into the front of my car, got out of her car, and started screaming that I hit her. When officers arrived, she was crying and shaking and complaining that her neck hurt, and cursing me for slamming into the back of her car. Thankfully, 2 people had been walking through the parking lot when this occurred and told the officer what really happened. Later, the driver of the car that hit me tried to tell her insurance company that I knew the witnesses and that's why they lied. I didn't know the witnesses, by the way. At any rate, if the witnesses hadn't stuck around to give statements, I'd have been screwed. My mom ruined my courthouse wedding, called me selfish and made fun of my shoes on my wedding day, and made me swear to her that I wouldn't tell our family I was getting married until we had a big ceremony, then proceeded to go behind my back and tell people anyway. She is now genuinely surprised that I am upset and going around crying to all my aunts and uncles about how her only daughter will not speak to her. A woman rear-ended my car in the car wash of all places. She failed to put her car in neutral and rolled right into me. She then proceeded to yell at me and insist that it was my fault for not going fast enough. After we finally convinced her that the track always goes the same speed, she decided to blame the car wash employee for making the track too slow. My friend's sister, she doesn't feed her kids nor send the oldest one, 7, to school. Her neighbors reported her to CPS. And now she's posting statuses about how cruel people are for separating a mother and her kids. An older lady walked into a construction area where she knew she wasn't supposed to go just to snoop around when the workers weren't there and then sued because she slipped on a plastic floor covering. She worked there. She knew the area was off limits. Did it anyway. Sometimes my children ask me why they've met my mother but never met my father. I tell them he died a long time ago when I was a kid. In reality, my dad used to be an abusive drunk, and my mother had to kick him out because he used to beat on us kids. We used to spend weekends at his new house, but around the time I turned 10 he told my mother to stop dropping us off, and gave her a shoebox full of all the pictures he had of us. We tried calling him on holidays every now and again, but he finally just told us to stop contacting him altogether. Last year my mother passed away, and he decided to reach out to me and expressed he had changed and wanted to make things up to me. I told him it was okay. I filled him in on how I was doing in life and sent him pictures of my children, but I expressed I was already a man and don't need a father anymore, but he was forgiven for the 20-year absence. He then proceeded to tell me that I'm horrible for pushing him away and abandoning him, that he was dying and just wanted to fix things. So I just explained to him, it's already forgiven, but he abandoned me and I had no time for his foolishness. I wish things would have been different, but he's too much of a bad influence to allow in my children's lives. I hope everyone who shared a similar experience can find happiness regardless of us having crappy upbringings. You're a good parent and good person for being firm with him. Facebook drama from a few years ago. This girl was leaving a bar drunk, and she backed her car into the car of someone she was an acquaintance with while exiting the parking lot. Then the next day went off on him for telling the police he saw her do it, when he knew she was poor and could have just said he didn't see it and had his insurance pay. She kept digging a deeper hole and all the replies were like, "B, don't drive drunk." It was glorious. Insurance would pay for it either way, but this way her premium goes up, not his. If he reported it as he didn't see who did it, it would show as an at-fault accident on his driving history, if in the US. My ex-husband got arrested for having child pee. He blamed me, saying it was my fault. He was so depressed he went looking for it. Some follow-up, his depression defense worked. He was given 8 months house arrest, no jail time. Fast forward several years to now, he is sitting in jail awaiting trial, charged with first-degree physical shaming and abuse of a minor. This is messed up. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I lost a lot of weight, 150 lbs. My overweight friend didn't. I don't care. She's my friend. I love her. I tried on a pair of size 12, size 8 US jeans, but they were too big, so asked for the smaller size. Before I could try them on, my friend stormed out of the shop, and when I followed her she screamed at me for rubbing my weight loss in her face. I lost the weight in 2015. I've been this size for 4 years. I once witnessed a car accident where a lady blew a red light and another car, whose light had clearly turned green, didn't see her and hit her broadside. The innocent driver had her view obscured by my vehicle also entering the intersection. I was able to stop, but she couldn't. After the impact, witnesses stopped to help, and the lady who ran the red light tried to argue she was going through on a yellow and that her neck hurt. Apparently she had the nerve to attempt a lawsuit over it, because I was later interviewed, deposed, over the phone by crazy lady's lawyer who tried to trip me up by saying another witness claimed to be the same place I was. Too bad, man. I was right there, and there's no way in heck you can paint me as an unreliable witness for your client to steal money from an innocent for her own stupid mistake. My crazy college girlfriend cheated on me and then blamed me for causing problems in our relationship by being obsessed with the truth as I figured out what had happened. This was a long time ago, but it amuses me that 10,000 plus people have rolled their eyes at her. Better to be obsessed with the truth than with a lie. This guy got upset saying we were always talking about him behind his back. He would creep up to the door in our apartment and stand there listening to our conversations. Of course we would talk about him. He owed two of us over $600 and refused to pay it. And then we were the bad people because we would talk about it in our own apartment, not knowing he is creeping around the door. Yeesh. That is creepy AF. My best friend's ex-girlfriend. Basically her ex was kicked out of her parents' house when she told them she was a lesbian. She moved in with my best friend since they were dating at the time. At first she told my GF that she was too depressed to find a job. My best friend was okay with that even if it meant she'd have to work more, which she did. She even found a second part-time job. For the next 6 months, whenever my best friend asked her if she found a job, she'd always get the "I'm too depressed" response. Eventually my best friend finds out her girlfriend cheated on her. Her excuse for cheating was "You're always at work and never have time for me. I need someone who will be there for me." My best friend kicks her out and then her ex blames her for having to move back in with her parents. The kicker. Turns out her parents never really kicked her out. She was just tired of them telling her to get a job. Whoa, real piece of work, that one. Local business owner friend asked a lot of his regular customers to invest in his new business in Atlanta by buying shares. I bought in, knowing we wouldn't break even for at least 3 years, but that he could sell religion to the Pope. Had losses for 2 years, break even at 3 as predicted. 4 years in, he closes the Atlanta store and opens in another town. But this time he's doing it all with his own money. Bulls. He's doing it with the inventory and proceeds from the Atlanta store. Even has a shiny new house, cars, the works for his new venture. He's shocked to the core. And hurt, I tell you. Hurt and disappointed when all the shareholders took him to court. Our lawsuit basically never got off the taxiway. And as one of the good redditors below mentioned, it soon looked like the cost of going through the courts would quickly outpace our losses. People started dropping off and it fell apart. The original store and the Atlanta store were closed. Those bridges he well and truly burned. The final store has changed names but appears to be going strong. No way in heck will I name the business. I don't doubt for a second that while we smaller potato investors weren't ready for a long court fight, the owner would have no qualms about bringing a defamation suit against me in a heartbeat. Sometimes, karma is just asleep at the wheel and you have to accept it. My sister's friend was beaten up by her boyfriend and stayed the night downstairs of our house with her 3 kids. Next day he comes around, starts cursing her out saying she stole his kids, grabs the baby and starts walking away with him. She chases him trying to get the baby back and he punches her several times in the face. My brother intervenes and separated them. This butthole leaves and brings back the cops to arrest my brother for assault. My brother, our whole life, has blamed our middle class upbringing for him taking zero responsibility. He's basically a 40-year-old version of "No one gets me." He spends his money recklessly, has turned down opportunities to advance himself in lieu of making YouTube videos in his shed ranting about how richies keep him down. It's pathetic. Richies. Damn it. Stop calling me Richie. It's Richard. And will you please get back to work? When I was teaching, I had a student I adored who had some behavior problems. I did everything I could to support him. One day, we were taking a test and he was talking. I reminded him several times that talking during a test is not allowed, and I would have him go in the hallway if he continued. He continued talking, so I told him to go into the hall. He called me autistic on his way out, his favorite insult, and so I wrote him a referral. I called his parents and they didn't answer, so I sent an email explaining what happened, that he got the referral, and that I hope we can work together to help him manage his reactions. His mother responded saying that my behavior is unacceptable and that she is done speaking with me and I will hear from her lawyer. She went all the way up to the district level to complain about me, telling all sorts of lies and making me look like a horrible person. I don't teach anymore. My mother. She pulled the old going to the store routine when I was a kid. She called 3 days later from halfway across the country bitching because dad had shut off the credit cards. To this day she tries to make my father the bad guy for her failed attempts at abandoning her family. They divorced shortly after, and I stayed with dad. I've always been second rate to her for being, in her words, disloyal. Your father was a smart man. My fiance's manager tried to strong arm her into staying at her current job instead of taking one that won't destroy her mental health, then cried about how no one at work likes her. A friend's baby daddy makes no effort to see his kid on his court-approved visits, but when she won't let him see the baby any random time he asks, which is her following court orders, she's a bee and keeping him from his child. My cat plays with the closet door and sometimes shuts himself in. Then I get an angry cat yowling to get let out and acts like I'm the one that locked him in there. Or just cats that want to leave the room right after they enter. I open the door and he just looks at me and meows. Usually he just wants to get picked up and snuggled, but I can only do that for so long. He probably also just wants food. Cats are just need food scream machines. I ain't trying to make a chonker over here though. A former friend and housemate, who I stupidly let live at my place rent-free and who I gave some pretty significant help towards lawyer fees, lost her mind when I started voicing my concerns over her new boyfriend. She was still technically married to another man, and the new boyfriend was into all sorts of cultish, new age, spirit science craziness. Oh, and they would do things like make these lavish meals in the kitchen and not clean up, or block my car in the driveway. Then she went on a rant in which she compared me to her abusive soon-to-be ex-husband, because I hadn't put away a container of cinnamon immediately after using it. When I served an eviction notice to the B-bomb, she gave Academy Award level performance for melodrama of her own making. During a Sunday liturgy, I gave the priest the proper intonation for the Gloria in Excelsis, but he started chanting the Sanctus instead, which comes much later in the Mass. No one knew how, or if, to respond, so the place fell silent. Afterward, the priest blamed me, the organist, for giving him the wrong intonation instead of simply admitting that he wasn't infallible and had made a simple mistake. Username checks out. My 50-something-year-old mom's very frequent non-sober calls in hysterics about how her life is ruined. This was after she turned our lives upside down with her alcoholism and drug abuse throughout our childhood, went to rehab 5 times and relapsed every time, was given literal countless chances by my dad and family to start fresh including amazing job and housing opportunities, nearly bankrupted my dad, forced him to move and raise 6 children on his own, and eventually lost relationships with all of her family and children except me, up until 2 years ago when I received a call that she fricked up again, got herself kicked out of her free housing arrangement and lost her job before it even started, forcing me to go pick her up on the side of the road and crash at my apartment for the night. I remember when I was scrambling to hide all of the alcohol and pills in my place before getting her, then picking her up and her crying that my dad was still ignoring her and wouldn't give her money anymore. It really hit me that I'd finally had enough. Victimizers, am I right guys? Yet, there is an end to the rope. My ex cheated on me and I left him. He said he cheated because he felt like he couldn't please me in bed and it made him insecure. Mayo. I manage an outpatient drug and alcohol education treatment center. We're licensed with the state so that anyone who gets a DUI has to go through an evaluation process and complete some form of the education treatment program dependent on that evaluation in order to get their license reinstated or satisfy a probation requirement. Every state has its own version of this for alcohol or drug related driving offenses. Everyone has to do it and no one is exempt or special, regardless of whether they won or lost their criminal case in court. There are those who very obviously made the mistake of driving after a couple glasses of wine, had a back just over the legal limit. They realize they fricked up and they usually end up in the lowest level. They get it done. No complaints. But every single day I come across at least one person who blames the state for having to do the program. They call it a racket, a money scheme, a waste of their time, complain about having to go through it, etc. And they treat me like crap in the process as if I make the rules. Without fail, these are always the people who've had multiple DUIs, have drug alcohol addictions, and many of them have concurrent charges of vehicular manslaughter or accidents with injuries. These suckers who walk through my doors who've literally killed or injured someone because of intoxicated driving, avoided jail, and have to go through 6 weeks of outpatient treatment, complaining about having to do it, pee me off to no end. I used to keep my mouth shut, but I've experienced so many of these perpetual victim types that when they start their bitching, I remind them of the real reason they're in my office. Family member who has a ton of tickets and warrants because of driving drunk is always mad about being arrested and blames the cops for catching them. Drives me crazy because other family members keep bailing them out. If they have kid, oh they will lose job, act. Really gets my goat, especially because it's drunk driving and we have a family member permanently hurt from a drunk driver. I just can't with them sometimes. A college of mine whined about her job 24/7 and that she quit eventually. Then she went to see a psychiatrist, cause she needed to feel justified that quitting her job meant she had no regrets and she was actually mentally ill and couldn't cope. It was a residency program in one of the best hospitals in the country. Her psychiatrist, after evaluating her, straight up told her she was a whiny brat. Recently I went out on a date with a guy. During the date he proceeded to hit on someone and get their number in front of me. Apparently it was my fault because I'm bi, so clearly that meant I'd be interested in her too. I was just like, I am genuinely curious at how people think bi works. My roommate kicked himself out of my condo. I didn't know this before he moved in, but he turned out to be a pathological liar and attention pity seeker. He fabricated and gossiped all kinds of stories that were easily proven false and then he'd backpedal and lash out if caught. I was super uncomfortable with it and privately started making mental plans to give him his 30 days notice at the end of his lease. 4 months away, but hadn't told anyone. Well, one day I get some text messages from some mutual colleagues asking if it was true that I was kicking him out today, and I tell them that this was the first I was hearing of it. Turned out that roughly after the 3rd or 4th time that I caught the roommate in a major lie, he noticed that I wasn't as chummy with him anymore, and he started spreading a rumor that I hated him now and that I was going to kick him out on his butt and make him homeless. He went crying to all of the prettiest ladies of the gossip mill at work about how he was getting kicked out tonight, and the rumor traveled quickly in a circle back around and he got tons of attention. So that night he comes home from drinks with his gossip entourage and starts yelling at me about how he'd heard that I'm evicting him and demands to know if the rumor was true that I was going to kick him out tonight. I told him nope. I had no idea what he was talking about. He starts ranting and raving about how gossip gets around and continues accusing me. I tell him point blank that I don't know what he's talking about, because I wasn't planning on evicting him today and I had never talked to anyone about evicting him. But I was upfront about my intention to give him notice at the end of his lease. He starts yelling what date and then cuts me off and gives himself 30 days notice from today and starts accusing me of kicking him out before the holidays. Then he stormed off and updated his whole gossip train that he had been kicked out tonight and that the rumors were all true. The next day he found a friend's couch to sleep on and another room to rent by the end of the week. and up the gossip to Billy hates me so much they kicked me out onto the street that night. So he turned his own rumor that he created about himself into a quasi-reality. He did leave my home that day, but not on my doing. My home and my life are 1000x more peaceful now that he is gone. TLDR. My roommate spread a rumor about himself getting kicked out of my condo, confronted me about the rumor as if I had started it, and during the confrontation gave himself notice and kicked himself out. That's a new level of stupidity I wasn't prepared to learn of. A girl I know who's a complete drama queen got extremely drunk a few weeks back and got into her car to go to her ex-BF's to start crap with him. She put the car in drive and passed out. It rolled forward and hit a vehicle that was parked in front of her. When the police showed up they found her passed out behind the wheel, with her car in drive smashed into another car, and charged her with driving under the influence amongst many other things. She wants to fight it because she technically wasn't driving at the time and because the police were bullies for arresting her. She's going to start a GoFundMe because she needs money for a lawyer to go after the police and teach them a lesson. All she does is complain about how they were being unfair and should have let her go. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.